Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Drum rolls. How are you doing? How have you been? Did you enjoy my last video on, what was my last video on? That's bad. Yeah, I remember. The top 5 books, top 10 books you should, read in your 20s. I'm supposed to release the second version. Maybe I'll release it about this video. So, by the way, if you have been watching my YouTube channel and you are not subscribing, you are not liking, you are not sharing in your communities, all wrong. Please get me to 1K subscriber. I think I will trend after this video. I will go put get me to 1K subscriber. I think I have about 786 now. I should be monitoring this thing. Anyway, so can you guess what we are talking about today? One of the most exciting questions, or one of the most, it's exciting, one of the most repetitive questions I've been asked, either when I speak at events or when someone is interviewing me or I'm on a podcast. I do a lot of those, by the way, is how did I get into HR? So I thought, you know what, let's just do a YouTube video about it. I'd written a LinkedIn post that sort of summarizes, that gives a version of it. Maybe I will attach the link somewhere in the pinned comment so that you will enjoy it. But yeah, let's get to it. So how did I get into HR? That's like the $1 million question. I'm going to tell you a story, but then my director is going to shoot me if I exit a certain time, so I would give you a summarized version of the story. So my name is Emmanuel Faith. Once again, welcome to my YouTube channel. Please click subscribe if you have not, and share this video after you finish watching. If you know me, I studied economics from Obafemi University. And if you attended Obafemi University, I think that trend has changed. But if you attended Obafemi University around the time that I attended, the chances that you would pursue a career in finance is more than 70%. And the reason is very simple. People, our alumnus or alumni, as the case may be, all of them were in finance. They worked in companies like Merostem, Afri Invest, United Capital. I'm not sure if United Capital was this big then. They are very big now, And when they come to school to speak, how you organize conferences now, ISEC, JCI, hello, ESCO people. So when they come to speak and they introduce, these are like the names that get stuck in your head. Someone comes and say, I'm a research analyst, I'm a financial advisory, I am an accountant and stuff. So it was just a trend. The summary is, if you studied economics in OAU between 2012 to like 2016, there is high chance that you pursue a career in finance. So the question is, why am I not in finance? So in 200 level, I was always everywhere. That's another story for that day. I didn't like my course of study, so I was always everywhere, doing this, doing that. I was an ESCO in department, ESCO in fellowship. So I did this business plan challenge. We used to have this business plan challenge, in my department in anticipation of our conference. And then the winner of the business plan challenge gets an internship. So I did this business plan challenge in 300 level, 200 level going to 300 level. 300 level going to 400 level. Yeah, I remember. So I got this internship with Merostem. Of course, Merostem is one of the best places to work if you are trying to pursue a career in finance. So I joined their investment research team, did all those things they used to do, analyze Nigerian stock, give stock recommendation, write research reports. And one thing I want to do in this video is I want to share lessons that can cut across. And the first lesson is that, people say, go for internship to have, work experience and stuff. A good reason why you should intern is actually to know what you don't want to do in life. So sometimes you think you want to do something, but you don't actually want to do that thing. You just like the idea of doing that thing. So for example, say you think because product designers, they come and talk about all those nice words on Twitter, you feel like product design is a good thing. And then you get into product design and then you start learning Figma and you realize that the product design, you might have like 1,000 frames open on your monitor. Or everybody is screaming, tech money, tech money, tech money, tech money, tech money, tech money. $100,000 per annum is small, right? And they say, well, I want to get into tech. And then you get into tech and you realize that you're writing codes for hours, day, night. There's a guy, his name is Aksutan, and he says now that every midnight he tweets now that the motors are asleep, techies assemble. Meaning that, to blossom in tech, you write code for like 16 hours per day, and I'm not exaggerating. The summary is sometimes you just like the idea of something. You don't exactly have the whole idea. And then internships help you know what you think you like and what you really like. And for me, that's what internship did for me. During that internship already told me that, guy, you're not going to do finance. So now that I'm not going to do finance, the question is, what will I do, right? I skipped a part. So in 200 level, I became a campus ambassador for Unilever. I don't know, Unilever is a very big part of my story. I think that's why I love them. So I became a campus ambassador for Unilever, and then if you're a campus ambassador, you know that you work directly with the employer branding, and employer branding is in the HR team. So I used to take a lot of bubble assignments here and there, campaigns, employer branding campaigns and all that. So I can say that was sort of a seed that was sown into my life, but I did not get the whole picture. So in 300 level, going to 400 level, remember that I won that competition. So I won a couple competitions, to be honest. I remember I won one I wished I was that brilliant. Adulting has happened to us. I don't know if I have that kind of brain again. But in uni, I was very brilliant. I was very intelligent. I was not brilliant because I was having D and E in my courses. But I knew I was intelligent, right? So there was one competition that I won. So it's in stages. It's like a mock interview competition. So you keep interviewing and interviewing, like serious interview, board class interview. So the final stage, I competed with someone that was in 400 level and I was in 200 level. And I beat him, right? You know, it had never happened before that it's on. In fact, a 200 level does not get to the final of that competition. It is by default that people that get to the final are like 400 level and maybe some very smart 300 level. Because it's the first time that a 200 level person will get to the final. And then I beat my senior colleague. So I became very popular, yeah. So the person, like the chairperson of that event, her name is Funtokoya. You know, she was very interested in me. And then we got talking. You know how these seniors now, they want to give you aspire to perspire. So we got talking and she was like, oh, what do you want to do? I said, I don't know what I want to do, but I know I'm not going to do finance. And she was like, okay, why did you say you're not going to do finance? I'm like, oh, well, I've intended. I know that, you know, finance is not for me. You know, so she was like, oh, there's this field called HR. So I asked her that, oh, what do you want to do? And she was like, oh, right now she's doing recruitment. You know, recruitment is a subset of HR, XYZ. And that was the first time I heard about HR. Say part one, ending of part one. So part two, remember that I've heard about HR, you know, in 300 level and everything. So I kept it somewhere here. So in 400 level, I stopped being an ESCO across board. So I had a lot of time on my hands. And again, I'm very restless. If you're my friend, you know I'm always doing something. My friend was asking me yesterday that, so what have you done this year? Because I'm always doing something new. So in 400 level, I joined Tax Club. If you are watching this as a Tax Club member, please say hi in the comment section so I will see my people. Yeah, so hi Tax Club members. I joined Tax Club OAU. Then Tax Club was open to just law students. The percentage of non-law students in Tax Club was less than 5%, right? So I was like one of the very few guys that were in Tax Club that were not in law. So it was very popular, right? You know, I was always showing up to do things, volunteering to do things. The escorts there were very fine babes and fine guys. So the best way to get, you know, to be in their space was to like volunteer to do stuff. And I made good friends from Tax Club. Shout out to Clem, shout out to Tosin Abejide. So there was this competition that we were going to do at Tax Club, right? We were supposed to, you know, I don't want to go into details, but you know, at tax competitions, I was supposed to write a case study on something, XYZ. So we did like internal runs, internal competitions, everything. My team got to the final in summary. So the final, there were tax consultants from the Big Four, KPMG, PwC, EY, Deloitte. There are also tax consultants from like a couple tax companies. So in the finals, you know, I did what I know best, present quotes law, section 32, subsection 8 of Company Income Tax Act says XYZ. Which I won. The team that had the non-law guy won. And one company came and said, you know, the reward for winning this tax competition, we just participated for cruise purposes, was an internship. And that's how I got my first after school internship. The name of the company, by the way, is Tax Aid Professional Services. And that's how I started my career in tax. A couple months down the line, so I was doing company income tax, value added tax. Then a few months down the line, there was, you know how tax firms is now, there's associate, senior associate, blah, blah, blah. So I was working with an associate who was working with a senior associate. So the senior associate took a leave. And so my associate had to now take over a couple things from the senior associate. And I had to now take over some things For my associate, the name of my associate is David Agagu. Shout out to him wherever he is, because he taught me the first thing I knew about payroll today. Hey, my story is getting longer. What have we learned so far? Okay, so the first thing we've learned is the fact that you should do a lot of things. If you don't know what to do in this life, just do a lot of things. I think I shared that in a podcast recently. When you do a lot of things, you get to know what you want to do by doing. When you do a lot of things, you know the one that you don't want to do anymore, and then you know the one that you want to keep doing. So, see, right, when you get to this place, write it in the comment section. You know what you want to do by doing a lot of things. Some, to be honest, some people just pick one thing and they do it for life. But for some of us, we have to do a lot of things to know what we don't want to do and what we want to do, and that's fine. So the first thing you should take away from this video is that you need to do a lot of things to know what you want to do. The second thing, of course, is that, sometimes internship also helps you know what you don't want to do. So down the line, I had to take over from my associate, and then one of the things I was working on was personal income tax and payroll management. Now, I remember that my senior colleague, Funtokoya, had told me that there is something called HR. And then I realized that payroll was under HR. Now, that company didn't have HRs at then. So, that was the moment of light. Lost that. That was the moment of light for me. So, this looks interesting. Let's do it. So, our receptionist then, I don't know if I should call him receptionist, I don't know his role. It was like the CEO, sort of, right? The one that coordinates operations, was looking to do CIPM. So I used to remember that I was in a tax company. If you're in Lagos, you will know this. CIPM is opposite LIRS Alausa. So I used to go to LIRS Alausa to file taxes for clients. So he asked me to stop by CIPM. I was like, oh, stop by CIPM, maybe make inquiries. So I made an inquiry about CIPM, they said this is this amount, XYZ. I don't know how much CIPM is now, but then it was like 60,000, and then I was earning 25,000, just to put it in proper perspective. So I had told God that, and I think it was like 3 weeks to closing. So when, now exam is to have expiry date of registration. So I told God that, I don't have 60,000. I'm going to do corporate fine bar. If you want me to write this course, provide 60,000. So I put it on my status that, no. I was earning 25,000, they had promoted me. So I was earning 48,000, but minus tight, everything, transport fare, Yekbaja to VI, auditing, everything that I used to finish after everything is like 25,000. So I told God that, this exam is 60,000. If you want me to write this exam, help me raise this money in 3 days. I think it was 1 week to deadline. So I had to pay in 3 days. So I put on my status that, I want to write a course, it's 60,000 naira, which 6 people can borrow me 10,000 naira, or 3 people can borrow me 20,000 naira. So I done the math that all I needed to save was 20K for 3 months. But you know how it is. If I didn't write that exam that month, I had to wait for another 6 months. You know how all these exams are. So lo and behold, I put on my status. The first person that saw it was my boss. This is why you should not block your boss. It's not all the time that you block your boss from seeing your status. So I see my status and called me and said, I saw that you put this one. Are you serious or joking? I'm like, I'm serious. And see, I'm not bragging. I was a very smart intern. Like, I knew my stuff. So everybody was, and then I studied economics. So people were waiting for me to write CITN, which is like a tax certification. So people were very surprised that what I wanted to write was CIPM and HR certification. They were like, okay, no problem. So my CEO was the first person, God bless him, God bless you, was the first person to, he said he loaned me, right, that they were going to deduct from my salary, but they never deducted it. So he loaned me 20K, then it's good to be a good person. My Unilever staff advisor, her name is Dr. Ijadwola, I sent her a message, that, hey, XYZ, I know. So she used to check on me that, what's up with your career? Because I was a badass ambassador, right? So I told her that, this is what's going on in my spirit right now. I'm trying to make a career move. I want to write this exam and I need this money. Just loan me 20K. I'll give you by this month. So she loaned me. Then 2 other people, actually, in the end, I raised like 80K. So I registered for CIPM, and that was like my journey to HR. Now, it is very important that I highlight those things, that I highlight those minor things, because I noticed that people don't share full story, right? I can't remember the last time I heard from Dr. Ijadwola. The last time I heard from Bide Mirumide was his birthday. His birthday is March, so I sent him a birthday message. But see, stories, exciting stories. If you drill down to the stories of successful people, there are people that played important roles, and then you cannot remove the place of people, from any career. So, end of part 2. Take a deep breath. Yeah. Yeah, so welcome back. This is the last part of the story. So if you followed my stories thus far, congratulations. Right, so I started CIPM, and this is like a word if you're looking to pursue not just HR, like any career. There's a way that the right emphasis, I'm not shading Udemy, I'm not shading EDX, but yeah, the right kind of certification also opened doors for you. So I started CIPM, then I went for NYSC, and NYSC, this is another free career tip. NYSC is always a good, I know people hate NYSC, but NYSC is a very pivotal parts of your career. So at NYSC, you can decide to say, this, I want to do my NYSC, and like I've seen people do it. I've seen people do something different before, and they say, I want to do my NYSC at a tax firm. I want to do my NYSC at a consulting firm. And that kind of just changes the pedestal of your career. So I served in Enugu, by the way. No, I camped in Enugu, but I deployed to Lagos. So I went to NYSC, then came back. So when I came back, I spoke with Funto. Funto was not in Nigeria, by the way. She had gone abroad. I'm not going to tell you where she is for confidentiality purpose. But yes, I had a very long call with her. It was like 1 hour, 30 minutes. And then I'm not a mentor person, but you should definitely have people ahead of you that you can have those career conversations with. I have a mentor person, that's fine, you know. Then there was someone else. Hey, I skipped this part of the story. I was trying to rush. So remember I said I was a campus ambassador for Unilever. Now, how I got that campus ambassador is another story. I started my application 20 minutes to deadline, but that's the story for today. So I was the team lead, right? And the team leader added over to me. His name is Dolapo Damsi, and our first call, we still used to make reference to it. Our first call was not nice because I had missed my interview a couple times and he had thought I was unserious. But yeah, so I met Dolapo Damsi in 200 level, and I just kept that relationship. I mean, he went to work with Unilever, and then we had to work with him for 2 more years. So I didn't even know why I kept the relationship, to be honest. I just felt, let me have this guy in my life. So I kept the relationship. So around that time that I was going for my NYSC, I'd spoken with him also that, hey, I'm going for my NYSC, and I think that when I come back to Lagos, I don't want to do tax anymore. I want to do HR. I was like, oh, no problem. This is what I think you should do. He had left Unilever also. He was now in General Electric, but he had said, there are still some people, just drill down, see people you can still reach out to in Unilever, see if they have openings and all. So I went for my NYSC. I wrote those applications. This is another career tip. When people consult with me, so I do career consulting, paid by the way, I charge $8. I like to tell people to map out a plan. So what's you want to move into product design. So what's your plan? What's your 3 months plan? What's your 6 months plan? Do you want to move in 3 months? Do you want to move in 6 months? You want to transition into HR? What's your plan? It's very important. So I had this 3 months plan. Remember, I said I was going for NYC. My NYC was around October. So my plan was to start doing HR in January. So from that October, I started writing about CIPM, sharing small HR tips here and there on LinkedIn, connecting deliberately with HR people. I sent a mail to Unilever saying, I'm going to serve, and I want to serve in Unilever in an HR role. My name is Emmanuel Faith. I was a former campus ambassador. When I was an ambassador, I did XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. I sent mails around, so I went to serve. Then I came back to Lagos. Of course, nobody had responded. But the good thing again, another career tip. Even when you're going to move to another company, always don't because you want to move, even when you've gotten the offer, don't because you want to move, do a shitty job where you are. Till your last day, let them say till your last day you did your best. So even though I knew I was moving, I was going to leave, I was still doing my very best as Taxid. So nobody even knew I was leaving because I was still suggesting ideas. Let's do this. Let's have a blog for this app. Let's have this relationship with tax law. They can help us promote. So when all my plenty blogs all the shots that I was shooting did not click, Taxid was ready to take me back. So Taxid took me back. I was with them. Then apparently the people I sent mails to at Unilever, they went on December break. So when they came back in January, they invited me for interviews. I got 2 jobs in 1 week. But none of them one was HR, but it was not the kind of HR I wanted to do. It was auxiliary HR, so I declined. Then the second one was supply chain. I declined that one too. I'm choosing right. It is very important that you know what you want. And this is a dicey advice, but sometimes you might have to accept something that you don't want so you get what you want. But sometimes you might just close your eyes and say, this is what I want. So I knew what I wanted, right? and that was not it. So 2 months after, Dolapo called me from G. He said, oh, there is this role. It is not HR, but it will get you into a multinational, and then that's good for your CV. So, he called me, so I interviewed for the role, man. I think as at then, I've done a longer interview, but as at then, that was the longest interview of my life. It was like 1 hour, 15 minutes. I wanted to enter the seat. I wanted to enter the grind, right? So, but then I got the job, was the good thing. It was a commercial, I can't give you the details, commercial risk mitigation, XYZ. So I got the GE role. From my onboarding, my HR was very nice. God bless her in Jesus' name. God bless Osamu Diame, Omoka. I call her Mudia. She was very nice. She was very warm. I don't know, HR are nice people. I don't know why you people don't like HR. But yeah, she was very nice. She was very warm. So from onboarding, I told her that, wow, this commercial risk mitigation, and they gave me this company. But my long-term goal is to get into HR. I'm writing CIPM. Remember why I said the importance of certification, like they give you open doors. As I had already written 2 stages of CIPM. I was left with 1 stage, which she found it that very impressive, right? That, at NYSC, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was even writing certifications about it. She was telling me that she didn't even write CIPM till like 3 years after she started practicing. So she liked me, right? But again, nothing in HR came up, so I was just doing my job, doing my commercial risk mitigation. My manager was not in Nigeria, so that kind of made it difficult, right? But there, we do what we do. An opening came 3 months, down the line. Again, that's why, like, sometimes you have to wait. You have to just keep building yourself, keep learning, and just wait for that opportunity, because that opportunity will come. And so you have to be ready when it comes. So don't say because there's no opportunity right now, you are not investing in yourself in that line. Just keep investing. The opportunity will come. What you don't want to happen is that the opportunity come and then you are not ready. That would be disastrous. So 3 months down the line, the opportunity came. They wanted to do an employee engagement, and they needed someone who had an HR knowledge to write, to create so comms is a big part of HR, how we communicate, right? So they needed someone to create like an HR comms for an employee engagement, and they didn't want it to be like someone that has a leadership position and everything. So they had said, oh, which intern can handle this? Like 3 people mentioned my name. That, oh, Emmanuel Faith, he writes on LinkedIn and he writes very well. Oh, Emmanuel Faith, he writes for Paul Senji and he writes very well. So like 3 different people mentioned 3 different things that has to do with my writing. And maybe I'll do a YouTube video on personal branding sometime later. But like if you attend any of my session on personal brand, one big question I'm always asking is that, 1, what can you do? 2, who knows what you can do? So like a lot of us can do a lot of things, but people around us do not even know. I was totally surprised that in a room of 8 people, 4 different people, minus, if I don't want to count Dolapo because they said he didn't mention it, but I'm very sure he was one of those that talked. 3 different people talked about the fact that I liked writing and I could write very well. I did not even say the same thing. And that was like my entry into HRG. So of course I wrote all the comms. Now it may look like I wrote all the comms, but it's actually a big deal because I was writing comms that was going to over 200 employees in Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt. In fact, at some point, what they did for me was they made me do rotation. So I worked with different departments, in HR. I wasn't even officially in HR yet, right? But because I had shown up, let me just share this one illustration before my director shoots me. So just one time, I think then I'd finished my CIPM. So I took this very expensive course. Guys, it was expensive as at then. It was $50. No. Yeah, it was $50. That was like $35,000. It was big money to me because G was paying me $93,000. Just imagine. Imagine your salary right now and imagine carrying 1/3 of that salary net tight, because I pay tight. Net, look at your salary right now and imagine that you carry 1/3 of that salary to learn a course. So I learned this course. It was on performance management, and I learned something called balance scorecard. And I didn't even understand jack. I shall learn it. So I was having a catch up with one HR business partner, and we were just talking. I was like, what are you up to? I'm like, oh, this, that. I even learned something interesting this week that I don't understand. Though, it's performance management, and under it I saw balance scorecard. He was like, oh, what? You learned balance scorecard? That's exactly. Come. Apparently, he was working on a balance scorecard for Sub-Saharan Africa. Guys, that was the first time I would work on a live balance scorecard, like for a whole region, right? And a lot of other things that I can't share because of confidentiality, but like I did a whole lot of HR work, right? And then of course COVID happened, and people were on contract, had to be let go and all that. I mean, that's an unfair way to say it. It was hard for me because I was moving, I was moving department, because not everybody that was let go. Some people were kept and then they were given full-time role after. But because I was moving department, it was sort of hard, for them to get me a full-time role. So I kind of just resigned that, I didn't want to keep staying on contract. So after that, I did one quick job. I like to call it quick job, as an HR shared service manager for one investment firm that I won't mention their name. Then, a couple weeks after, CEO of CarWise reached out to me, and then I did like 5 interviews, and then I'm here today. And that is how I got into CarWise. So this, like I said, this is like an abridged version, but I just felt to like do a video about it. I would attach like 2 or 3 LinkedIn articles, that my sort of. So I think I wrote an article when I was still at GE. Then I wrote an article when I joined CarWise. So they're like, I like to journal, and that's one thing, guys. Please journal your journey, right? This is what journaling does for you. One, when you're in a down moment, and you go back, you realize that there were times you were in a down moment, and then you pull through. Also, see, we will blow, we will have money. Forget all these things. We will see. I don't care what is happening to your life right now. Write it down that you watched the Emmanuel Faith's video whenever this video is published, and Emmanuel Faith says you will have money and you will blow. So when all those times come, you would be able to go back to the times where you were hitting 101, 001, and you were writing code till midnight, hustling for data. MTN was taking your 60 gig in 3 days. You are doing. People do give away these days. Sometimes I just go to comment section and I send like data to people, because man, data is a real deal. So like I journal my journey a lot, right? So I probably attach like 2 or 3 links. But what I want you to note, of all this story that I shared is, one, you learn by doing things, and then you realize what you can do and what you can't do by doing things. 2, like people are very important at every point in time. I mean, like there are a lot of parts in my journey that I didn't touch. For example, during COVID, there was a time that so I knew I was going to leave GE because of COVID. So before they even told me, I did. That's another thing. And if you're in HR, this is like a free tip for you. You have to think like a business person. When I ask people that why do they want to get into HR, I have a whole course on starting a career in HR and all that. Maybe I will share the link. They say, because they like people. Liking people is just one of like 6 or 7 dimensions of HR. You have to be able to think like a business person. You have to be able to think like a CEO. So before GE exit even happened, I already foresaw that an exit will happen, because there was COVID. There was constraint in revenue. Even though they didn't announce that they were going to lay people off, like when the business is experiencing a downturn, people are going to be laid off, right? And then the first people that are going to get it was contract workers. So in 2020, I did something very funny. I read this book by Lara Yeko. If you're just starting your career in HR, you should absolutely read it. My HR storybook. It majorly shares 55 stories of HR professionals. Guess what I did? I wrote 50 out of those 55 names down, and I sent all of them a request on LinkedIn. Personalized request. I went to do LinkedIn Premium, 13,000. My name is Emmanuel Faith, XYZ. I'm looking for an HR. I don't even say I'm looking for an HR role. I'm looking to have a conversation with an HR professional. For some people, I'll say I'm looking to interview with an HR professional for interview purpose. I just want to have an idea of what it means to interview with an HR professional. And I did that like every Saturday. I sent LinkedIn requests to 10 people for 4 Saturdays. So at the end of 1 month, I'd sent requests to like 40 people, right? Some people did not even accept my request like 5 months later. Some people did not even accept my request till now that I've blown in the HR space and speaking event. Like, I remember you sent me this. I mean, I met someone this year and she was telling me about how I reached out to her in 2020, and like I totally forgot it, right? So there was a time in my life that for 90 days, I read an HR article every day. So my tab was always open. Today, I'll just Google, what is recruitment? And I'll read blah, 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 blah. Tomorrow, what is HR analytics? I'll read blah, 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 blah. Next tomorrow, what is predictive analytics? For 90 consistent days. I read 90 HR articles. I mean, there were a lot of knowledge that I acquired then that I didn't even use till I got to CarWise, right? So, when you see people like out there doing great stuff, there are a lot of backstory that they didn't tell you, right? So, I already talked about the fact that you learn things by doing. People are very important. There are people in my life that I probably didn't mention. So, special shout out to Samuel Akiloto, to Ijo Mankotha. Those people helped me, Teniola Long Femi. Those are people that I could just bounce ideas off. I could say, I'm thinking about this. What do you think? People give me chances. Dolakbo, for example, didn't have to tell me there was an opening role at GE, but he told me. So you can't displace the importance of people as you try to build your career. And the last thing is you have to do the work. Like, nobody's going to do the work for you. Nobody's going to People will recommend you, people will refer you, but nobody's going to do the work for you. And that's the honest truth, right? There are days Cairo is a good place to work, by the way. Let them just put that disclaimer out there. But there are days I work on Sunday, right? For example, this weekend I'm going to work today and tomorrow because payday is Monday, right? I don't want to be running around on payday, right? So I want to do the work Saturday and Sunday. People, you would see me, you will see my fine face, you probably see my picture at Marriott, or you see I'm speaking about event, and you're like, I like what Ivan Office is doing. But I'm not going to come back and tell you that I worked on Saturday and Sunday, right? So people do the work. People do shitload of work. My honorable editor right here has been in the office since Friday, trying to work on something that Carrie wants to push on Monday. You see him next week is his 1 year anniversary, by the way. I'm going to ask him what wine he wants. People do shitload of work. That's what I want you to know. Forget the glam that you see online. People do shitload of work. And then if you cover the glam, then you definitely have to cover the hustle too. So either you're trying to transition into a new career, either you're just starting out your career, do the work. Do the work and show your work. Let people know that this is who you are and this is what you can do. This is who you are and this is what you want to do. I used to joke about the fact that there are people on my Twitter timeline that if there's an opening at KYC, like I know them. This is the summary of how I got into HR. From tax, first from not knowing what I want to do in my life, then to hearing about HR, then to tax, to payroll management, to GE, then to a full HR role at KYC. So yeah, if you have any question at all, please drop the question in the comment section. So I'm sharing 3 things in the comment section. God help me to remember. 1, I'll share 2 articles about my journey, that I'd written on LinkedIn. Then I'll probably share. So there's a link. It's a paid course. I don't think I've uploaded the link. Maybe because of this video, I'll make it public. So there's a link to once start a course in HR. So I did a 2 days training for people who started their course in HR. So I just put the paid link. So yeah, remember again, subscribe, share, tell people, tell people about my YouTube channel. Let's hit 1K followers. Help my hustle. I think the next video I'll be publishing is the second part of the books I read before. You should read before 30. Till then, bye for now.